You know that moment when you realize you've been blaming the wrong thing? Maybe you've been thinking your constant exhaustion is just part of having diabetes, or that tingling in your hands and feet is something you just have to live with. What if I told you that many Americans with diabetes are dealing with symptoms that aren't actually from their blood sugar levels at all? I'm talking about nutritional deficiencies that are hiding in plain sight. And the frustrating part is that these deficiencies can make your diabetes symptoms worse, create new problems, and leave you feeling like you're fighting a losing battle. Today, we're going to talk about 3 nutrients that people with diabetes commonly run low on, and more importantly, what you can actually do about it. Before we get started, let me be crystal clear about something. I'm sharing educational information here, not medical advice. Everything we discuss today should be part of a conversation with your healthcare provider. Never make changes to your medications or start new supplements without talking to your doctor first. Your situation is unique, and what's right for someone else might not be right for you. Let's start with a nutrient that affects way more than most people realize: vitamin D. Now you might be thinking, doesn't everyone need vitamin D? Yes, they do. But people with diabetes face some specific challenges when it comes to this nutrient that make deficiency more likely and more problematic. Here's the thing about vitamin D. Your body doesn't just use it for bone health, although that's important. Vitamin D acts more like a hormone than a traditional vitamin, affecting cells throughout your entire body. And research suggests it plays a role in how your body handles insulin and regulates blood sugar. Studies have found that people with diabetes tend to have lower vitamin D levels than the general population. There are several reasons for this. If you're carrying extra weight, which is common in type 2 diabetes, vitamin D can get stored in fat tissue where your body can't use it effectively. Some diabetes medications might affect vitamin D levels. If you have kidney problems, which unfortunately many people with long-term diabetes develop, your kidneys might not activate vitamin D properly. And if you're spending most of your time indoors, which many older adults do, you're not getting that sunlight exposure your body needs to make vitamin D. So what happens when vitamin D levels drop too low? Well, some research indicates it might make insulin resistance worse. Your cells become less responsive to insulin, making blood sugar control more challenging. But the effects go beyond blood sugar. Low vitamin D has been associated with increased inflammation throughout the body. Your immune system might not work as well, leaving you more prone to infections and slower wound healing, which is already a concern for people with diabetes. Your muscles need vitamin D to function properly. When levels are low, you might notice you're feeling weaker than usual. Maybe climbing stairs feels harder. Perhaps you're more unsteady on your feet. Some people experience muscle aches and cramps. For older adults, this muscle weakness increases the risk of falls, which can lead to serious injuries. Your cardiovascular system is affected too. Some studies have found associations between low vitamin D and higher blood pressure, though more research is needed to fully understand this relationship. Given that heart disease is already a major concern for people with diabetes, keeping vitamin D levels in a healthy range makes sense as part of your overall health strategy. And here's something that surprises many people. Your mood can be affected by vitamin D levels. Some research links low vitamin D to increased risk of depression and anxiety. If you find yourself feeling down more often, especially during winter months when sunlight is limited, low vitamin D might be playing a role. So how do you know if you're running low? The symptoms can be vague. Fatigue that doesn't improve with rest, bone or muscle pain, getting sick more often than you used to. The only way to know for sure is through a blood test. Your doctor can order a simple test to check your vitamin D level. Results are measured in nanograms per milliliter. Generally, levels below 20 are considered deficient, while optimal levels are usually considered to be between 30 and 50, though some experts recommend slightly higher ranges. Now let's talk about solutions. Where do you get vitamin D? Unlike most nutrients, there aren't tons of food sources. Fatty fish are your best bet. A serving of salmon contains several hundred international units of vitamin D. Mackerel and sardines are good sources too. Egg yolks have some vitamin D, though you'd need to eat quite a few to meet your daily needs. Many dairy products and some plant-based milk alternatives are fortified with vitamin D, meaning it's been added during processing. But honestly, for most people, especially those living in northern climates or spending limited time outdoors, food alone isn't enough. That's why vitamin D supplements are so commonly recommended. Vitamin D comes in 2 forms, D2 and D3. D3, also called cholecalciferol, is generally considered more effective at raising blood levels. How much do you need? That depends on your current level and individual factors. Many doctors recommend somewhere between 1,000 and 2,000 international units daily for maintenance. But if you're deficient, you might need more initially to bring your levels up. Some people need even higher doses. This is why testing is so important. You need to know where you're starting from. Here's an important tip. Vitamin D is fat-soluble, which means your body absorbs it better when you take it with food that contains some fat. Take it with a meal that includes things like nuts, avocado, olive oil, or fish. This simple step can significantly improve absorption. One safety note. While vitamin D deficiency is common, it is possible to take too much. Very high doses over time can cause calcium to build up in your blood, which can be harmful. Stick to your doctor's recommendations and get periodic blood tests to make sure your levels are in the right range. Let's move on to our second nutrient, vitamin E. This one doesn't get talked about as much as it should, especially for people with diabetes. Vitamin E is a powerful antioxidant, which means it helps protect your cells from damage caused by something called oxidative stress. What's oxidative stress? Think of it like rust forming on metal. In your body, high blood sugar creates molecules called free radicals that can damage cells, proteins, and even your DNA. It's like your cells are getting rusty. Vitamin E is one of your body's main defenses against this process. It neutralizes those free radicals before they can cause harm. For people with diabetes, oxidative stress is a real problem. High blood sugar creates more free radicals than usual. Over time, this oxidative damage contributes to many of the complications associated with diabetes. Nerve damage, blood vessel problems, eye issues, kidney disease, all of these involve oxidative stress as part of the process. So why might someone with diabetes run low on vitamin E? Well, the increased oxidative stress from high blood sugar uses up vitamin E faster. Your body is burning through its vitamin E stores, trying to combat all that cellular damage. Additionally, if you're eating a low-fat diet, which some people do to manage weight or cholesterol, you might not be getting enough vitamin E since it's found primarily in fatty foods. What does vitamin E deficiency look like? The symptoms can be subtle at first. You might notice increased muscle weakness. Some people experience problems with coordination or balance. Vision changes can occur. Immune function might decline, leaving you more susceptible to infections. In more severe cases, nerve damage can develop or worsen. For people already dealing with diabetic neuropathy, adequate vitamin E becomes even more important. Some research suggests that vitamin E may help protect nerve cells from further damage, though it's not a cure and more research is needed in this area. Your cardiovascular system benefits from vitamin E too. It helps keep blood vessels healthy and flexible. Some studies have found that people with adequate vitamin E levels have better blood vessel function compared to those with low levels. For people with diabetes who face higher cardiovascular risks, this protection matters. And similar to vitamin D, vitamin E plays a role in skin health and wound healing. Since people with diabetes often experience slower wound healing, getting enough vitamin E is part of supporting your body's natural repair processes. So where do you find vitamin E in food? Nuts and seeds are excellent sources. Almonds are particularly high in vitamin E. Just 1 ounce of almonds provides about half of your daily needs. Sunflower seeds, hazelnuts, and peanuts all contain good amounts. Vegetable oils, particularly sunflower oil, safflower oil, and wheat germ oil, are rich in vitamin E. Spinach and other leafy greens contain some vitamin E as well. Avocados offer vitamin E along with healthy fats. Here's a practical meal idea. A salad with spinach, sliced almonds, sunflower seeds, and avocado dressed with olive oil would give you a significant dose of vitamin E, along with other beneficial nutrients. A handful of almonds as a snack. Cooking with olive or sunflower oil instead of butter. These simple changes can boost your vitamin E intake. What about supplements? Vitamin E supplements are available, but here's where it gets a bit complicated. Natural vitamin E, labeled as D-alpha tocopherol, is more effective than synthetic versions. Some supplements contain mixed tocopherols, which include different forms of vitamin E found in nature. These are generally considered good options. But before you run out and buy vitamin E supplements, talk to your doctor. High doses of vitamin E can interact with certain medications, particularly blood thinners. If you're taking warfarin or other anticoagulants, vitamin E supplementation could increase your bleeding risk. Your doctor needs to know about any supplements you're considering so they can check for potential interactions. For most people, getting vitamin E from food sources is safe and effective. Unless you have a documented deficiency or specific reason to supplement, focusing on vitamin E-rich foods is usually the best approach. Now let's talk about our third and perhaps most critical nutrient for people with diabetes, vitamin B12. If you're taking metformin, which is one of the most commonly prescribed diabetes medications in America, you need to pay close attention to this section. Vitamin B12 is essential for making red blood cells, maintaining healthy nerve cells, and producing DNA. Without enough B12, a whole cascade of problems can develop. And here's the concerning part. Metformin, that medication millions of Americans rely on to control their blood sugar, can significantly reduce B12 absorption. The longer you've been on metformin and the higher your dose, the greater your risk of developing B12 deficiency. Studies suggest that somewhere between 10 and 30% of people taking metformin long-term have low B12 levels. That's a substantial number of people walking around with a deficiency that could be causing symptoms they're attributing to other causes. How does this happen? Metformin interferes with the absorption of B12 in your intestines. Specifically, it affects something called intrinsic factor, a protein your stomach makes that's necessary for B12 absorption. Without enough intrinsic factor, the B12 in your food just passes through your system without being absorbed. But metformin isn't the only culprit. As we age, our stomachs naturally produce less acid, and you need stomach acid to release B12 from food. If you're taking acid-reducing medications for heartburn or reflux, like proton pump inhibitors or H2 blockers, these further reduce B12 absorption. Some people have a condition called pernicious anemia, an autoimmune disorder that destroys intrinsic factor. And if you follow a vegetarian or vegan diet, you're at higher risk because B12 is found naturally only in animal products. What does B12 deficiency feel like? The symptoms can sneak up on you gradually. Fatigue is often the first sign, not just ordinary tiredness, but a deep exhaustion that doesn't improve even after a full night's sleep. You might feel weak or lightheaded. Some people describe feeling mentally foggy or having trouble concentrating and remembering things. As deficiency continues, neurological symptoms can develop. Tingling or numbness in your hands and feet, that pins and needles sensation. Problems with balance and coordination. Some people experience mood changes, feeling more depressed or anxious. In severe, long-term deficiency, permanent nerve damage can occur. Here's what makes this particularly tricky for people with diabetes. Many B12 deficiency symptoms overlap with symptoms of diabetic neuropathy or just having diabetes in general. That tingling in your feet could be diabetic neuropathy, or could be B12 deficiency, or could be both. The fatigue could be from blood sugar fluctuations, or could be B12 deficiency. Without testing, it's impossible to know. B12 deficiency also causes something called megaloblastic anemia. Your red blood cells become larger than normal and don't function properly, so you're not getting adequate oxygen delivered throughout your body. This contributes to that exhausted feeling. And there's another concern that doesn't get enough attention. Low B12 can cause levels of homocysteine in your blood to rise. Homocysteine is an amino acid that, in excess amounts, can damage blood vessel walls and increase risk of cardiovascular problems. For people with diabetes who already face higher heart disease and stroke risks, this becomes another factor to manage. So what's the solution? First, if you're taking metformin, ask your doctor about checking your B12 level. This is a simple blood test that should be part of regular monitoring for people on this medication, though unfortunately, it's often overlooked. If your level is low or even borderline, you'll want to address it. For food sources, you need animal products. Beef liver is extraordinarily high in B12, though I realize not everyone enjoys liver. If you do, just a small serving provides more than your entire daily requirement. Clams and oysters are also extremely rich in B12. Fish like salmon, trout, and tuna contain good amounts. Beef and chicken provide B12. Dairy products, including milk, yogurt, and cheese, offer B12. Eggs contain some B12, primarily in the yolk. If you don't eat animal products, you'll need to rely on fortified foods or supplements. Some breakfast cereals are fortified with B12. Nutritional yeast, which is popular in plant-based cooking, is often fortified. But honestly, if you're vegan or vegetarian, B12 supplementation is usually necessary to maintain adequate levels. Speaking of supplements, B12 supplements come in several forms. Cyanocobalamin is a synthetic form that's very stable and commonly used. Methylcobalamin is a form that's already in the active state your body uses. Sublingual tablets that dissolve under your tongue allow B12 to be absorbed directly through the tissues in your mouth. bypassing the digestive system. This can be helpful if you have absorption problems. For people with severe deficiency or serious absorption issues, B12 injections might be recommended. These deliver B12 directly into your muscle tissue, completely bypassing the digestive system. Usually, these are given initially to quickly restore levels, then may be continued periodically for maintenance. How much B12 do you need? The recommended dietary allowance is relatively small, just 2.4 micrograms daily. But if you're deficient, you'll need much higher amounts initially to replenish your stores. Your doctor will determine the right dose based on your blood test results and individual situation. Some people with absorption issues need ongoing supplementation with higher doses, from 500 to 2,000 micrograms daily, or even higher. Here's some good news. B12 is water-soluble, which means your body doesn't store excess amounts the way it does with fat-soluble vitamins. If you take more than you need, you'll simply excrete the extra in your urine. This makes B12 supplementation quite safe. It's very difficult to take too much. One practical tip. If you're supplementing with B12, timing doesn't matter much. You can take it whenever is convenient for you. Some people like taking B vitamins in the morning because they support energy production, though there's no evidence they'll keep you awake if taken at night. Now, before we wrap up, I want to pull all this together with some practical guidance. These three nutrients, vitamin D, vitamin E, and B12, all play important roles in supporting your health when you have diabetes. But they're not miracle cures, and they don't replace your diabetes medications or the need for healthy lifestyle habits. Think of these nutrients as part of your support team. They help your body function better, protect against complications, and support your overall health. But they work alongside your medications, not instead of them. Never stop or reduce your diabetes medications without your doctor's guidance, even if you're feeling better. The smart approach is to get tested. Don't guess about whether you have deficiencies. At your next doctor's appointment, request blood tests for vitamin D, vitamin B12, and if there's concern, vitamin E levels can be tested too, though this is less commonly done. Many insurance plans, including Medicare, cover these tests when they're medically indicated, which they are if you have diabetes. Once you know where you stand, you can create a targeted plan with your healthcare provider. Maybe you need supplements for one or two of these nutrients, but can get adequate amounts of others through food. Perhaps your levels are fine and you just need to maintain them through diet. Or maybe you need significant supplementation initially to correct deficiencies, then can transition to maintenance doses. Keep in mind that correcting nutritional deficiencies takes time. You won't feel dramatically better overnight. It typically takes several weeks to a few months of consistent supplementation or dietary changes before you notice significant improvements. Be patient with the process and stick with it. And please don't try to start multiple new supplements all at once. Work with your doctor to prioritize. If you're deficient in multiple nutrients, you might start with one supplement. Give it a few weeks to make sure you tolerate it well. Then add another if needed. This makes it easier to identify what's helping and whether you're experiencing any side effects. Let me also address cost, because I know that's a real concern. Vitamin supplements can add up, especially if you're on a fixed income. The good news is that basic vitamin D, E, and B12 supplements are relatively inexpensive, especially store brands. You don't need fancy formulations or expensive brands. Look at the supplement facts label. If the ingredients and doses are the same, the less expensive product is likely just as good. For food sources, you don't need expensive specialty items. Canned salmon costs a fraction of fresh salmon and provides the same nutrients. Eggs are one of the most affordable sources of B12. A bag of almonds or sunflower seeds can last a while if you're using them as a snack or salad topping. Frozen spinach is cheap and nutritious. You can build a nutrient-rich diet without breaking the bank. If cost is a significant barrier, talk to your doctor or a diabetes educator. Some community health centers offer nutritional counseling at reduced rates. Your local area agency on aging might have programs to help with the cost of supplements or healthy food. Don't let financial concerns prevent you from getting what you need. Here's something else worth mentioning. These nutritional issues aren't just about diabetes. They affect your whole body and your overall quality of life. Getting your vitamin levels optimized can improve your energy, your mood, your strength, and your resilience. You might find you're sleeping better, thinking more clearly, feeling steadier on your feet, or just generally feeling more like yourself. And that's really what this is all about. Managing diabetes isn't just about keeping your A1C in range, though that's certainly important. It's about living your best life despite having diabetes. It's about having the energy to do the things you enjoy. It's about preventing complications so you can stay active and independent as you age. It's about feeling good in your body. These three nutrients, vitamin D, vitamin E, and B12, are tools that can help you achieve that. They're not the whole answer, but they're important pieces of the puzzle. And the best part is that they're actionable. You can get tested. You can adjust your diet. You can take supplements if needed. You have control over this aspect of your health. So here's what I want you to do. Write down these three nutrients, vitamin D, vitamin E, and B12. At your next doctor's appointment, bring this list. Ask to have your levels checked, especially if you're taking metformin. Have an honest conversation with your doctor about whether supplementation might be appropriate for you. Don't wait for symptoms to get worse or assume everything is fine. I'd love to hear your experiences in the comments. Have you had vitamin deficiencies diagnosed? Did supplementation help you feel better? What changes did you notice? Your stories can help other people watching this video know what to expect and feel less alone in dealing with these issues. If this video was helpful to you, please hit that like button. It helps us reach more people who might benefit from this information. And if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and do that now so you don't miss future videos about managing diabetes and staying healthy as you age. Remember, you're not powerless in managing your diabetes. Small actions like making sure your nutrient levels are adequate can add up to meaningful improvements in how you feel and function. Work with your healthcare team, be proactive about testing and treatment, and don't ignore symptoms that might indicate nutritional deficiencies. Take care of yourself, ask questions, and advocate for your health. You deserve to feel your best. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.